welcome to a day in the life of a part-time writer. So one fun thing that's happening is in February, I get to start writing the 4th book in the Agent Bennett saga. But in order to do that, I need to clean up the disaster that has become my office. Here, let me pull back and show you what I mean. So a little bit of a pre-office tour. This is supposed to be my writing desk, but it is covered. That is an old hobby that is no longer happening, so I kind of just should get rid of it. These are all of my notes that I keep. These are boxes of books. This is the shared space of board games that isn't mine. My incredibly messy bookshelf. Ooh, some awards that I've won for my book. My whiteboard, more notes, more notes, more notes. And then my favorite thing is my wall of words a day. So I got this for a calendar and it's probably my favorite thing. Before I start writing my book in February, I kind of need to clear out my office space. I need to reorganize all of my notes, whether they're notes that are on my wall or notes that are in my phone or laptop or in a notebook somewhere. So that's kind of the journey that you get to walk with me through this week. One thing about starting this now is that you guys get to walk through the whole writing journey with me. So like the planning out, the actual writing, then obviously the intense editing, which usually takes up most of the time. What happened with my 3rd book is I wrote it in 1 month, and then basically the other 8 months after that were spent editing, which is like my least favorite part. If I could always just be writing, that's what I would do. So you guys get to come along with that, and then obviously once we start the publishing journey, you guys get to watch every single step with that. You guys will be able to watch all of my interactions with my publishing team, which will be really cool. But first, again, we need to clean up this dumpster fire of a mess. I don't even know what to do with this. I have like so many notebooks that are like partly written of like lists that I think will be beneficial, and they are not. All right, I definitely don't need this notebook anymore, so it can go to my mother. This is funny because like what's behind me is my style sheet for the 1st book, and it's funny because it's titled The Agency, which is what the book was first called before it was changed into The Field Agent. I have a Shakespeare insult kit, and then I also have words to use instead of said. I also have some other like, I obviously like dictionary words because these are my own dictionary words, as well as like my dictionary wall over there. And then I have, this is my best friend over here. I should probably take this down, but it's really old, so it doesn't really matter. One thing you will learn about me very quickly is there is no point working unless a candle is lit. Since you guys saw the board game cover, it's kind of obvious that this space isn't 100% mine. I still live with my parents, and they've blessed me with this office space, which is so awesome. So I'm kind of like actually stuck in the furnace room, which will kind of suck if the furnace ever comes on, because that noise will definitely be picked up. There's like a little window up there that like lets in a little bit of light, but for the most part, it kind of is a little small space, but at the same time, like it's such a blessing to have this space that like I'm not gonna give it up and take it for granted. But it's kind of fun going through some of my desk drawers after so many months. And I get to find things like this letter opener that's like a little dagger, which is fun. I also get to find out that I have like 7 pairs of scissors in my drawer, which I'm like, I don't need 7 pairs of scissors. So yeah, there's like a lot of cleaning up that's happening, which I sometimes like organization, and then at other times I'm like, I would rather be doing anything else but this. So I've actually decided that I'm gonna take this out of the office. I don't know where I'm gonna put all of the stuff, but I'm gonna figure that out. And I'm gonna use it as another little bookshelf in my bedroom because I'm running out of bookshelf space. And then like the perks of getting rid of that is now I feel like I have so much more space to work here, and it's not so cramped back here because I also have all of these lovely book boxes. So what I'm doing right now is actually, you know when you're scrolling through Pinterest and you're like, oh, that's such a good idea, I wish I could remember that for later, and so you pin it to a board and then you never look at that board again. I actually print things off and I post them to my wall so that when I'm kind of zoning out during writing, I can at least zone out and look at something a little bit productive. So the thought process of my office is that it's one giant Pinterest board that will benefit my writing and my stories. So welcome to day 2 of trying to organize my office so that I can start writing the 4th book in the Agent Bennett saga. I didn't get as much work on it done as I thought I would yesterday. Things just happen. And I work a full-time job on top of being an author. So unfortunately, sometimes my author stuff takes a back seat, which is like really unfortunate, but I also have to make normal money so that I can pay rent and stuff. But anyways, I've got my candle lit so that I can keep working, and yeah, work with me. I fell behind in my calendar that helps me make my word wall over here. So I was cutting those out, and now I'm gonna take them up to the wall to continue the word wall. And I kind of like having this because sometimes you view one of these words like scapegoat and the dictionary definition, and you're like, oh wow, this like weirdly coincides with the scene that I need to write, and now I'm inspired in this way. So I don't know, I just like surrounding myself by things that could like potentially spark inspiration. The reason that I'm kind of like doing these vlogs and letting you guys come along on like how I write books, how I publish books, is because I've never really seen another author do that. Now I could be totally wrong and there could be other authors that do that, but I've just never seen it. And so I kind of thought, like, let's try something different and let's invite other people along on the journey. Instead of just getting to see the finished product, they would get to see the whole thing. And so that started my blogging career. Yeah, as of right now, it's kind of like something very different for me to do. I've obviously already been on TikTok and Instagram and Threads and stuff, and so you guys have already seen me there, but now this is a bit more unscripted, and you guys get to follow along a bit more closely instead of like stuff that I'm like, no, I plan to talk about this. This is kind of like a little bit of like in the moment, as well as some planned stuff, obviously. This is what my wall looks like a little bit more up close. These are all words from like a daily calendar that my mom gave me for Christmas, and I just kind of thought it would be fun to like actually do something with them instead of just recycle them. So those are like kind of a bit of my favorite words that I read throughout the last year. And then she got me another calendar, but unfortunately it's a little bit of a different style, but I just kind of figured like might as well go all the way to the bottom of the floor. So that's that. So I got the first part of my office clean. I got the thing away from the corner so I have more space back here. I cleaned off my desk with all the papers that were on it. I wiped it all down, dusted the lamp, my typewriter. Now, unfortunately, this is the view from my desk when I sit here. And then this desk actually used to be empty, and I used to just have notes on there for the current book that I was working on. But I started a work from home job, and so I needed to rearrange things, and that needed to be my work from home computer. So kind of the goal now is that I continue to use my wall space as my Pinterest board and my notes, and I use this space as kind of like my more creative typewriter, writing by hand, journaling space, kind of got that vibe. And then the other side is for actual working on my book, and I can use my laptop and my monitor right there. And so that's kind of the goal right now. And now I kind of need to move over. I've been putting a bunch of stuff on here that I need to get rid of. And then I also need to clean off my bookshelf. So that's next. All the problems with clearing off your desk once and then moving on to another section is that sometimes then you put that stuff on your desk. So I'm like, but on the fun side, actually right up there on that shelf, I took these down and I want to show you what they are. So this actually is my first proof copy of The Field Agent. So this is the first copy ever printed. There's obviously like a couple mistakes in there because it was the first one and there was still another round of layouts to go through before it actually went off to be published. So that's cool, and I keep that up there. Another thing that's really cool, here, let's see if I can get this. Let's go. All right, right here. This is my very first copy of The Field Agent ever written, and at that time I believe it was, well no, I know it was called The Agency. Actually, it probably didn't even have a name when I first started. I know that I struggled so hard with naming this book, but it eventually came out as The Agency, and then we switched to The Field Agent while publishing. There are so many mistakes in this. This is not the book that you guys read. yeah, it's pretty hefty to hold. It feels really good. And so because of keeping the first copy of my first book, I decided I always wanted to do that. And so here is attempt 1 of the second book. And it's fun because even at that, it's like, oh, I did call it the first trader when that happened. So I knew that. But yeah, so there's the first copy of the first trader, and then we have the first copy of the Following Within, and that one is definitely not titled because that one took me a real long time to name. So yeah, these are just kind of like souvenirs for me to keep, because like, why wouldn't I want to keep my very first copy of the manuscript? Now, I've never admitted this to anyone. I did get a proof copy of the first trader, but because I also sell my own copies of the book, I guess what happened is my proof copy got mixed up with my actual copies, and then so somewhere out in the world is the proof copy of the first trader specifically signed to that person, with some, like, I know the mistakes that are in there, but like I have no idea if they noticed them or anything. And so that's probably one of the saddest things, is that I don't actually have my proof copy of the first trader. But the Fallen Within, I already, as soon as I got it, I opened it up and I wrote in a proof copy, because I do not want to make that mistake again. I like keeping my first copies of 1, 2, and 3 of the Age of Bennett saga, because it's just a good reminder that like, hey, I've done it once, I can do it again. So they're kind of right over top of me, watching me as I work in my space. This right here is my favorite candle. I rarely light it though, because I've never been able to find it again. The first time I lit it, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is heavenly. So I went on and bought a second one, and then the shop that carried them stopped carrying them. I think it was like the maker's problem, but anyways, I have like a little bit left of it, and I'm scared to use it because then it's gone. Also, this is the fun part, because I get to like clean off my trophy shelf. So this is, I was a finalist, The Field Agent, the first book, was a finalist in the Next Generation Indie Book Awards. That's pretty cool. So that is from there as well, and then this little sign is from there as well. And then this is just, as you'll learn, I really like anime, and so this is just a character. I can't say I actually like the character, because he's an interesting character, but he's from this one called Haikyuu. Anyways. And then I won first place in the Best Indie Book Award, so that's this one, an actual trophy. And as someone who grew up really bad at sports, I mean, I horse ride, but anyways, really bad at sports, I always watched my sister win trophies, and so the fact that I was able to win trophies for like something that like I like doing and enjoyed. These are little stickers that can go on the books, but I never want to put them on the book because I always hate stickers on the book, so why would I do that to you guys? Yeah, it just felt really good to be able to actually win something for not like throwing a baseball or something. And then any mature adult would have, let's see, a lightsaber. So I'm actually all done cleaning my office, and this might be a little anticlimactic, but I'll give you a quick tour to show you how it's clean for me. So right when you walk in, you have my little word wall over here. You have a bit of my Pinterest board over here. You have my laptop station here, so for my day job, but also for obviously writing books. I like having the dual screens. It's really nice to be able to work on both. I like a clean desk space so that I know I have space to put notes out if I need to. So that's all clean because it was not before. Over here, I have more of my Pinterest board. And then top shelf of my little bookshelf thing is all of my awards, my fun stuff, my candle, because I always work with a candle lit. And then that's my little space heater because it gets really cold down here. And so my dad put this down here for me. It's usually on, but I didn't really want to be talking over it. More of my Pinterest board, more of my Pinterest board. And then this side of my desk, look how empty it is back here. It's so good. I have space. And then I did put a couple things on my desk. I put my typewriter, or a little thing of pens. This is a little dish. I usually have candy in here. And then this paper is what I like to use in my typewriter, so I figured I'd have it here. And then this is just, I am a huge note taker by hand, so I figured I'd have that ready to go. So yeah, and then that's this view from the office. There you go.
I finished my work day for today, my day job that is, and I kind of figured that before I jump into more organization and more book stuff, that I could go for a walk because it's snowing and it's beautiful and I don't want to waste this opportunity. So I'm out here with my dog and we're going for a walk in the snow. And it's like so deep. As a writer, it's really good to know where you draw your inspiration from. And one place that I draw inspiration from is nature. And I feel like that's like a very common thing for most people. But I get so many ideas when I either go for a walk and I'm going through the trails, or I'm with my horse and I think of like a scene of where would my characters be if they were here right now? What would they be doing? And usually it like prompts some dialogue or prompts an action scene. And so whenever I can, I try my best to like go out on a walk and either bring like a notebook or my phone with me. My phone's note section is like jam-packed with stuff. And I'm always worried that I'm going to forget something because like the note, like I don't start new notes. I have one giant note full of prompts and ideas for different books. But you guys probably know what that's like.
I'm finally in my office. That took me a little longer than I thought. I ended up having dinner and then hanging out with my family afterwards. So now it's already 7:40, and so I'm trying to like, okay, let's see if I can work till 9 o'clock, but we'll see what I actually get done. So all of these sticky notes are dialogue prompts that I could add for potential marketing purposes. So I'm going to go through here and see what I can make. And then on top of that, what I also need to do is I need to email James, my marketing specialist, and basically my marketing specialist through the publishing company that I'm with. He helps me with all of my marketing questions and whatnot. So we do back and forth. He edits my website. He's a huge motivational factor in a lot of things that I do, because if it wasn't for him, sometimes I'm like, I'll just sit on my butt and do nothing. But he really wants to see me thrive, which is very nice. And I feel that whenever we talk on the phone. Another person I need to email is my publishing specialist. She's my main point of contact. And for like every single, like when I need to like talk to my editor or have a question about anything to do with the publishing process, she is who I go to. So yeah, I have a few questions I have to talk to her about. And so I hate emailing people. It's the worst. I feel like I always have to like build up to do it. So yeah, I have to do a little bit of my marketing and then gets back to those two people for emailing. So you can't really see, but I actually have my laptop right in front of me. But part of what I'm writing to James, and my marketing specialist, James, is kind of my goals for this next year and what we want to focus on. So what we want to adapt the website to, what we want to focus on for social media. And I wanted to stay away of like, well, I just want to grow because that's like, I feel like you can always be growing, but I wanted to give like exact numbers, because then once you reach those numbers, then obviously you can create new numbers and new goals for yourself. So within this email, I'm writing, kind of hopes and dreams of new things that I want to tackle. So like for instance, this vlog series that I'm doing, which is like way out of my character and whatnot, to like invite people into my life like this. Like when I first thought I wanted to be an author, I thought I could like leave my face and leave my name out of it. And very quickly, James like, no, your face needs to be in your profile picture. And so it's like, okay, it was kind of like a 180, complete 180 of what I thought it would be like being an author, and a little bit more of like being a public figure. But the cool part about that is now I have people approaching me on social media and like, I'm not just this like faceless, nameless person, but I'm someone that they're just like, oh man, I want to be an author one day. I'm 13 years old. I write all these books in my journals. And so it's just kind of cool that people like, because I'm open about my life, they get to be open about their life to me and about their hopes and dreams, because we all have our own hopes and dreams. But yeah, anyways, my hopes and dreams are what I'm writing to James right now, and for the most part he's pretty supportive. So when I was organizing papers in my office, I brought a bunch of them out here and I made different piles for what
the purposes of the papers were. And now it's kind of time to go through these papers and start actually like properly organizing them, or like dealing with the information that's on these papers. And so I'm trying to figure out which pile I want to deal with first. And I feel like it's like a bit of a procrastination tactic of like, which one is the worst pile and which one's the easiest pile? Because naturally I'll probably pick the easiest pile to do first. But anyways, I can't leave these out here forever because this is like communal family space. So I have to get going, moving these back into my office. Yeah, let's start digging into these papers and seeing how long it takes me. Hey!
Where's a nice place for me to not be in the video but observing? Is it this one?
Sure, you can be over there. Huh. I accidentally lied to my marketing specialist. I meant to write like, oh, these are my goals to like reach this like following status, with like, oh, I want like 10,000 followers on Instagram, I want 100,000 followers on TikTok. And I think he interpreted that as I have that because I was writing so quickly yesterday that I never like had a chance to, anyways. Oh well, miscommunication. It's fine. He can think I'm better than I am.
He goes through your social media like,
This girl's crazy. She does not have 10,000 followers on Instagram. I don't want to do any of this.
I don't know anything about that stuff.
Yeah, I have. Okay, I think these are all things that can technically be shredded, but I'm not shredding them now. I think it's like when Uncle Jeff comes here, he can shred them because he loves shredding so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, and I don't want to shred it. I don't like shredding stuff until like I've actually published the book, and then it's like, oh good, I don't need this anymore. So like until April, I'll probably keep it. This is
You're publishing in April?
That's just the date I'm throwing out there. We'll see what happens. This is the worst pile. This is all of my like to do, and like on the paper there's like 10,000 different things to do, and I'm just like, I don't want to do any of this. So I keep putting this one off till last, which is bad. What?
Why do you have so many to-do lists?
Because I'm trying to get organized before I write my 4th book.
Oh,
So-
that's to do like the order of the book and stuff.
No, this is all marketing stuff that
Oh.
like James has given me, and I keep putting off because I'm a terrible author marketer.
You got this back.
Thank you. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so this box right here is all of like, these are all my notes from book 2, so from the first trader. This is all my notes from book 1 because I use a lot of sticky notes, like a lot of sticky notes. Funny enough, these are all my notes from, oh, that's why. These are all my notes from book 3, and I had more notes that I wanted to stick in here. But I think my favorite bag is the bag of outtakes. Like, who knew I'd have a bag of outtakes? I feel like after the 4th book is published, I can like go through the outtakes and share them with people because that's hilarious. Things that I forget. I also have my note from when I was in therapy, and I didn't want to talk to anyone about that I was writing a story, and I couldn't even talk to my therapist about it. So she told me to like write down my plan, and so I actually like wrote down my plan for writing my book, for my first one. I think it did. I think it was what I needed at the time, and like a safe person to be the first one to talk about, which is like really funny because it's like phase 1, Colin's death, phase 2, aftermath. I even have like check marks beside them for like, yeah, phase 3, training, phase 4, training, transition into mission, phase 5, mission, phase 7, and then it's crossed out and put 6, wrap up.
So you're actually like following through that time?
I guess I did without like, I mean, it took a really long time to write, but because life was difficult then, but that's fine.
So happy Friday, everyone. It's after work, so usually I would start on some author things and like doing writing related work. And I know one of the things that I kickstarted doing yesterday was reaching out to bookstores, because that's very important. So I reached out yesterday to Monroe's bookstore, which is on Victoria Island. I love Victoria. It's probably like one of my favorite places to be. I fell in love with it in October when I actually went, and I just want to go back so bad. And I'm actually going back there in February to visit a friend, so I'm really excited. But so I applied to Monroe's for my books to be in there. I applied to Western Sky Books. So I'm just waiting to hear back from them. So yeah, and then I decided that today I would take a little bit of a break. And when I say a little bit of a break, I'm going to clean my room, because basically a bunch of stuff from my office ended up in my bedroom. And that's not necessarily, like, I don't just want it on a pile in my bedroom. So I'm trying to like organize my room a little bit, maybe make my bed. I never make my bed. I am just like, why would you make your bed when you're going to crawl into it the next day? But it's not exactly the nicest for filming purposes. I sleep with like 3 blankets because I get so cold at nighttime. But yeah, so I'm gonna clean my room, and then I have a book club book, and we have book club on the 28th. So I'm actually gonna read that book. I'm gonna chill out, eat dinner, and then I'll probably end up watching a movie with my family. So that's my Friday, and I'm trying to be okay that I'm taking a bit of a break from working, especially because I already know tomorrow, Saturday, I'm gonna like work really hard on organizing a bunch of stuff. That pile of doom that I just wanted to ignore, I've like slowly gone through it when I've had like moments throughout my day, and kind of started organizing it. So tomorrow I will tackle that, and then the idea is that next week then I will start organizing all of my notes for the 4th book, so that in February I can start writing the 4th book of the Agent Bennett saga. So yeah, that's my Friday and Saturday. So this is like the most unflattering angle ever, but I'm just gonna leave it. Actually, maybe not. Like, see if I can like change this a little bit. Okay, that's still not the most flattering, but I'm just gonna leave it. So I knew if I stayed home that I wouldn't be able to, that I would probably just end up like seriously procrastinating and telling myself like, oh, I'm just gonna watch one more show and then I'll start working. It'll be fine. Just one more show and it'll be okay. And I knew that like I just needed to get out of my house. And I was meeting a friend at 2 o'clock anyways, so I'm just like, well, why don't I just go to that area where I'm meeting that person and try and find like a coffee shop. So that's what I did. I went to Black Tiger Coffee, and it's so good. Love them. They're great. And I had a little bit of a list of what I needed to do, and one of the things was to email James, because one of my 2024 goals is to get better at emailing the publishing company I'm with, because I am atrocious at emailing them. Sometimes like I'll go a whole week and I'm like, oh, I can't do this. So I emailed him back, and then I'm just kind of like, okay, I have a little bit of a list of what to do, and I had that giant pile of like, ugh. So I started in on that pile, and the top thing was a list of libraries that are kind of local to me, like all within like a 2-hour radius for the most part. And so I'm like, you know what? I am just gonna start emailing all of these libraries. So I ended up emailing like 44 different people associated with these different libraries, whether it was like in Ladner, in like the Clearbrook location. Heck, I did one in Yale, and I didn't even know where Yale was at that point. I'm like, oh, it's just past Hope. I live in the Lower Mainland in like near Vancouver, if you didn't know. But anyways, and so I spent like an hour going through emailing 44 different people and one bookstore, because I had already a previous relationship with this bookstore that I'm like, oh, I'll just reach out. Albany bookstores, check them out. They're in Langley and Tawasin. Shop local. And by the time I was finished, I already had someone emailing me back saying like, hey, we would love to have your book in, but don't email me, email this person instead. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. And then on top of that, they're like, we would love for you to come into an author event / writing event. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this whole hour of emailing people, like, I don't care if this is the only person that emails me back, this was totally worth it. And then my friend ended up crashing my productive coffee time, which I was totally okay with, because I'm like, oh, this is so worth it. So that's my day, and now I'm going thrift shopping to different thrift stores, so I'll take you along with me for that. But I just thought I would catch you up and you guys can celebrate with me for a bit.
Maple. We're at the farm. We're gonna go for a ride. And it's kind of like the snow's still on the ground, so it should be like really pretty. But I'll give you an update on yesterday. So I sent about 44 emails out, and before the end of the day, I'd already gotten 14 emails in response. And the one I had already shared with you was probably the most exciting, about like, hey, we want you to come speak out at our library at Boston Bar. And I'm like, oh man, like, frankly, this, like, if I get no responses, that is the best. But I got 14 responses, and some were like, oh, we're gonna forward you this email to our youth librarian, which is really cool. Or some of the emails were like, hey, do you mind actually filling out this form instead? So that was cool. And others were just like, I'm not the person you talk to. And I'm like, that's fine. So you know what, for an hour's worth of time to email all of those people, it was like 100% worth it. So if you are an indie author, I highly recommend just going, like, looking up the emails of all of your local librarians, whether it's like in your city or neighboring cities, and just like reaching out. Because like the worst that can happen is like you either don't get a response, or you get an email response that's just like, nope, you're not what we're looking for, which is like, at least you tried, right? So it really started to rain while we were riding. So we are like steps away from the barn right now, so we can both get dry, thank goodness. And that's kind of it for this week's vlog. Yeah, if you guys have any questions about anything I did, you can leave them in the comments. Obviously like and subscribe if you want to keep following my content. Yeah, next week we'll do a bit of a deeper dive into some more author marketing, and then organizing my notes for the 4th book of the Agent Bennett saga. So we'll see you guys then.